thought killing those fools would make me feel good, but it really didn't make me feel anything. I just knew that I could kill somebody, and if I had to, I could do it again.
So we pick it up at the scene where Old Dog and Cain get revenge for Harold's death, just showing you more of the cycle just when it comes to retaliation and, you know, the choice and then the retaliation. You have that cycle within our communities, especially when it comes to people who opt to that lifestyle, to that choice of, you know, going back and forth with your ops and just being caught up in that type of left-hand path, if you will. And Cain, you know, he continues on in that understanding when it comes to replicating the arc, going back to Cain from the scriptures, where it's like someone who's numb to doing evil, someone who's numb to, you know, murder and whatnot. Am I my brother's keeper? Because, you know, that sentiment is touched on a lot just when it comes to the innuendo, as far as like when you see him. Well, let's just get into it, actually.
Want to play me in boxing?
What you think?
I'll whoop your ass.
Anthony, what did I tell you about your mouth?
What? Why you tripping?
What do you mean, why am I tripping? Because he's 5 years old and he has no business talking like that.
Well, you gotta be hard growing up out here.
Cain, that has nothing to do with being hard, okay? Because he gets that crap from you, dog, and that fool Stacy.
You have that cycle. You have that negative influence cycle just when it comes to our communities in regards to, you know, passing it down from generation to generation. He represents the replication of Cain in the scriptures. And Jada Pinkett's character, you know, she represents this sort of way out. You know, that's why she was like, oh, you know, my son gets his cussing from you and your friends, from Old Dog and Stacy and whatnot. She's highlighting that cycle. She's highlighting that cycle of negative influence within our community. But she also acts as a way out, like some sort of guide to, you know, stop that cycle, or some sort of guide to stop the replication of Cain. But we already know what's imminent in regards to his fate. But this is why, you know, she offered him to move in with her going to Atlanta. This is why you have figures in the movie like a Ronnie or a Sharif, or Sharif's father, where, you know, he can give this understanding to Cain to help him see the forest through the trees. But, you know, the left hand, the wickedness is so impactful, it's so strong that, you know, we already know his fate. Even though he was almost there, he was almost at a point where he was like, you know what, let me just go. But that mark, same thing like the mark on Cain in the scriptures, the same mark. You know, it's a lot of parallels. You see, he says, well, Purnell showed me what's up. You know, Purnell being the same person that showed him how to point a gun. You know, the full circle cycle comes together just in regards to choices that you make to prevent the same thing. You know, in the case of Cain, where he pretty much replicates what happened to him with the gun, he shows Ronnie's son a gun, how to point a gun. Further touching on how the cycle comes together. Well, Purnell showed me what's up. Purnell happened to be the father of this young boy, and he's the one that's filling in for him, and he's showing him what he was shown when he was young, from the father. So it's just interesting how everything comes together when it comes to, you know, just the cyclic element of it.
Hold up. Now I'ma wear y'all, little punk.
Let me see that. The gun.
Put that letter. Yep.
Now see, you hold it like this and pull the trigger.
Pow, punk ass.
Look, it ain't loaded.
What the hell hell are you doing? I don't want my son learning to pull drive-bys.
Look, I was just showing him how to shoot.
Yeah, Mama.
Anthony, get over here. Get over here. Let me tell you something. If I ever catch you with a gun in your hand, I will break your tail. You got that? Get out of here. Get up and get out. And how many times do I have to tell you to stop giving us money?
Look, don't give me that shit, okay? Because I don't see nobody with no fucking job around here, all right?
You know what? I don't need your money.
Look, Purnell looked out for me, okay? If it wasn't for him... No,
Don't
listen.
stop.
No, listen. If it wasn't for him, my black ass would be dead by now. I'm just paying him back.
You know what? Fuck Purnell, because you don't owe him shit. All right? You need to be glad that you graduated from high school and that you're alive at 18. And you need to do something with yourself before you end up like he did.
Look, I'm not gonna end up like he did, all right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, why you tripping? I mean, you act like you never was down. What's up with that?
Cain, it's not even about being down. All right? I got a little son to look after. And you know what's really sad? Is that I look at you and you remind me of how Purnell used to be.
Once again, emphasizing the cyclic aspect of it where it meets. Because he's pretty much Purnell all over again. It's just that his fate is going to be death, as opposed to Purnell's fate, which is prison for life. But you can look at those two things as almost one and the same. Like you threw your life away pretty much, you know? So the parallels and the cyclic aspect all comes together, as well as we already understand the parallels to Cain of the scriptures. So Cain ends up in jail and he has to go through interrogation from a car theft gone wrong. Obviously, they was caught. Him and O-Dog. O-Dog got off because he was young. And, you know, it was just joyriding. And this is where, you know, what catches up to them from the beginning in regards to the situation with, you know, the man who got killed, the clerk, the store clerk, kind of seeps into the interrogation based off of, you know, finding some fingerprints from the bottle that Cain was holding that spilled, which was, you know, it was pivotal because they like to focus in on certain things that connect with what you would see later. So that's why the bottle scene was pivotal. That's why they showed the up close scene of the bottle spilling on the floor and whatnot, because that was connected with what was to come in regards to the car theft scene and how, you know, that incident seeped into this. But he was still good. And it's just interesting just in regards to the emphasis that I put on the cycles and also full circle connections. So they get interrogated or Cain gets interrogated, but, you know, he's let off. Now, he was let off because there was no evidence regarding the tape. But there's a connection to that because of Chauncey and what he does. From the situation that occurred where Chauncey was, well, I don't want to get into it too much, but it's not like we don't know the movie. We already know the movie. We already understand that Chauncey was like the catalyst for, you know, the after effects of what occurred from O-Dog and Cain and whatnot. Well, Cain, he passed away, but the after effects having to do with O-Dog and the tape and things of that nature. You see, it's interesting because in this scene right here, you know, one of the guys in regards to Sharif tries to encourage Cain to move to Kansas. Kansas represents this state of separate consciousness from reality, but still reality, if you will. It's almost like the reality before transformation. That's what Kansas represents. Remember in the movie Wizard of Oz, you know, you have Dorothy who goes from the whirlwind to a different state, that being Oz or the astral world. You know, it represents this sort of different state. This is where you get like, we're not in Kansas anymore from. So Kansas is used as some sort of symbolic separation or getaway, as well as Atlanta, but more so Kansas because Kansas is connected with the magical aspect in regards to what it means, connected with Wizard of Oz. Atlanta is just more so a getaway, but Kansas is like getting to a different state of consciousness. This is why you have Sharif trying to encourage him, because Sharif represents that aspect of consciousness.
No, was sitting on some bullshit. I needed some rims bad, and I knew just how to get them. And I sure in the hell wasn't gonna pay for them. All I had to do was catch some fool slipping and jack his ass.
And on top of that, got mobs sprung, scheming off the top. Never figured that he'd go down by the hands of another nigga. Now my pops is gone and that ain't no good. Got to follow in the footsteps of my niggas from the hood. And what's the role model? Who's putting blue in my fucking baby bottle? Damn, and through all the stress and the pain, they done drove my moms insane. So I guess I gotta do work so I ain't finished. I grow up to be a motherfucking menace.
Turn that motherfucking shit down. Nigga, what the fuck you want from me? Nigga, you know what the fuck I want, nigga. I want your motherfucking Dayton's and your motherfucking stereo. And I'll take a double burger with cheese. What? Motherfucker, order my motherfucking food.
Hi, may I take your order, please?
Let me have a double burger, some fries. What the fuck I said with cheese, nigga? Hey, yo, make that double burger with cheese. See, y'all made me shoot your stupid ass over nothing. Hey, come on, man, we supposed to be brothers.
Very, very intentional line there, because they understand the parallels. They understand the inspiration. Just when it comes to the directors and the executive producers of the movie, you know, things are intentional when it comes to certain lines. So we supposed to be brothers. That's a play on Genesis chapter 4, particularly in these verses here, verses 9 and 10. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? You know, these full circle things come together when it comes to the parallels regarding the movie, regarding the dynamic of the film. Am I my brother's keeper? And we know in this land, a lot of us have this evil eye towards our brother. We have this evil eye towards our kin, our neighbor per se. And it's all due to the curses. And Cain being the one that's, you know, given the heavy curse because of his decision to disregard his brother. You know, it kind of reflects within our community. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. You know, the Most High being aware of the choice that Cain made in regards to killing his own brother. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. And yes, we understand the mark that was put on Cain, similar to what was put on Cain in the movie in regards to his actions that led to his death. And this is something that all these people that was in his life, all these different guides or you know, impasses or more so, you know, buffers like his grandfather or his friend Sharif or his friend or his girlfriend or what have you, or just the woman in his life, Ronnie, these people acted as safe havens for him to see a better light and see a better way, you know. And this is just how you know that the mark was on him further because of his unwillingness to, you know, get down with those programs, if you will, in regards to his grandfather or Ronnie, to a degree, even though he was almost going to. But it just shows you that, you know, the fate was stronger in regards to the mark.
Nigga, are you trying to kick some knowledge? Nigga, fuck that, nigga. Give me your motherfucking jury, nigga. Take that shit off. Oh, you got a page or two. You're a baller, huh? You're a baller? You're this motherfucking shit. Better than me than the motherfucking cops, nigga.
Yo, what's up?
You see, just like Cain from the scriptures, he has this facetious way about him towards anything that's right. You know, he's willing to steal from his own. He's willing to kill his own, all based off of the wickedness that consumed him and turned him into something that would lead him towards the left path. And when you engulf yourself in this type of lifestyle, it's only but two things that's imminent. And you better hope that one of them things ain't forever, but 9 times out of 10 it is. You know, so it's very, very important for us to take note of these historical figures when it comes to a Cain, or these historical figures when it comes to a David and a Christ, or Masha, so on and so forth, and learn things from these people and their decisions and what they've gone through. Job, so on and so forth. But in this case, we're focusing on Cain. I'm just saying, just to make a point. But you see here, Cain Lawson, or Cain Dawson, I believe his name is. He's, further engulfing himself in that lifestyle that's going to lead to what's imminent.